Bridges.
Speaker, in the recent past, there has been the discovery of Stone Age beer jugs from about 10,000 BC or thereabouts. And what the evidence essentially indicates to the archaeologists is that beer probably preceded bread as a staple that was consumed by humans. And so I suppose it goes to show that man can't live on beer alone. But the point, bread alone I should say, but the point I want to make is this, that as long as there are people, there will be alcohol. And I agree with Doug Selman, actually. I agree with Doug Selman that alcohol may well be a drug. I agree with him. But it will always be with us. And I'm not being fatalistic about this. I accept absolutely that something should be done. I accept that there are a range of drinking habits. My father, in my entire 34 years on this earth, has never ever touched a drop of alcohol. I've offered him a beer a number of times. I've offered him wine, probably offered him stronger things. He has never, to my knowledge, in the last 34 years, touched a drop of alcohol. And I'm not saying everyone needs to be like that, but that is one valid response to alcohol. Then there's moderate drinkers. And of course then there are also those heavy or, as some would say, problem drinkers in our society. And that's where this bill comes in. Because in the recent history, and we know Leanne Dalziel and other members voted for it, and I'm not blaming them, but we liberalised as a country the alcohol laws substantially in 1989. I think we all, or certainly most of us, other than 3 ACT members, agree that we went too far, and that actually those laws and the changes have led certainly in part to perhaps a culture change and to harmful drinking as a society. But what we need to do, and what we do in this bill, is we swing the pendulum back somewhat, and we focus on harm in doing that. We don't lurch, as I think actually Leanne Dalziel, Jim Anderton and members on the left would have us do. There's no point in policy lurches, one extreme, then 20-something years later back to another, or 30 years I should say, to another extreme. A key word in all this, as Simon Power has said, is balance, about being realistic about what can be achieved through the law. And frankly, I don't want to, and maybe the member opposite does, I don't want to see a set of laws that penalises moderate drinkers, that penalises actually what Les Galloway was talking about, people having a barbecue and going to the supermarket and buying some bottles of wine to enjoy with friends. I don't want to see a law like that. The member opposite, Sue Moroney, may want to see that, but I don't. And I also want to acknowledge what actually those ACT members who are voting against this bill have said, because I agree with them to some extent. We also have to acknowledge that we live in a free society where freedom should be valued. We're actually people, hopefully mainly responsibly, hopefully mainly with an eye to the serious harms that this drug alcohol can cause, but nevertheless are free to drink, are free to have beer, wine, even cocktails in bars. And Sue Murray says free to beat up their wife. Well, that's a disgraceful thing to say, because I don't think any responsible member in this House wants to see that. And by arguing for a freer society, I don't think anyone in this House is arguing for that sort of thing. We're merely saying that actually the pendulum in 1989 swung far too far in favour of liberal laws and free access anytime, anywhere, and a number of other things. We want to put the balance back in, but in doing that we do need to be balanced. We do need to make sure that actually people aren't penalised if they're moderate drinkers, and that actually we do appreciate and accept that people are free in our country. We're not going to prohibition to drink and to do so, we hope, responsibly. I also just want to say in closing about this particular bill, and as someone who is on the select committee that will be considering it, an important point is it is a starting point. It's not the end point. We'll certainly be listening very carefully to, I'm sure, the hundreds of submissions that we will get. We want to have sensible submissions and we want to be able to change the law where good points are made. And I think all select committee processes should be taken seriously, but this one perhaps even more so. We really will be listening, and this is seen very much as a starting point. Finally, can I just say, I'm not going to go through the specific provisions, but one, and probably not the most important, is what we're doing in relation to RTDs, or ready-to-drink alcohol, where we're limiting the amount of alcohol and we're limiting the size of these bottles. I just want to acknowledge John Church, a constituent who came and saw me about this some months ago. He came in with a large raspberry premixed drink, I think it was called Bigfoot, and he talked to me, very graphically and emotionally about the effect this is having in his community of young people he sees buying this thing that looks like Fanta, and they're probably, they're certainly of an age where that's all they should be drinking, Fanta, and yet they're out on the streets drinking this. So that's just one vivid example where we are seeking and we will be effecting change in this law for the better, so that the pendulum can come some way back, but we can still live in a free society where we're not penalising moderate drinkers.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those of that opinion will say aye. Contrary, no. The member seeking a party vote? Party vote called for. The clerk will conduct a party vote.
New Zealand National.
58 votes in favour.
New Zealand Labour.
38 votes in favour.
Green Party.
9 votes in favour.
Act New Zealand.
Split vote, 2 votes in favour, 3 votes opposing.
Māori Party.
Erimanga Pōti Tautoko.
Progressive.
1 vote in favour.
United Future.
1 vote in favour.
Honourable Chris Carter. Any other votes?
The ayes are 114, the noes 3. The motion is agreed to.
Alcohol Reform Bill, first reading.
Honourable Kate Wilkinson.
Mr Speaker, I move that the Alcohol Reform Bill be considered by the Justice and Electoral Committee.
Question is that the motion be agreed to. Those of that opinion will say aye. Contrary, no. The ayes have it. Call Government Order of the Day number